Hey there, in today's video I'm going to review the Nike Streakfly 2. I bought the Streakfly 2 because I have the Streakfly. I ran my hometown 10k in them, really enjoyed it. I've been doing lots of marathon running, but later in 2025 I'm hoping to train for 1k and 5k personal best. So I bought the Streakfly 2 and I'm going to compare them against the Vaporfly 4 and the Alphafly 3 in a variety of tests. Now, as always, this video might be long. The chapter mark is down below, so you can skip on through to the bits you might be interested in. Let's get going. These are minimal shoes, and I've done minimal testing. I've done some short, fast runs, some sprints, but there's lots of comparison testing to come. Let's put the shoe on the turntable and look at its specifications. Nike say that the Streakfly 2 weighs 126 grams, 4.44 ounces. This shoe is US men's 13, EU 47.5, UK 12, CM 31, BR 46. In this size, it weighs in the left shoe 162 grams, 5.71 ounces, and in the right shoe 160 grams, 5.64 ounces. It has a 27mm stack height. It has a 4mm drop. Nike say this about the Streakfly 2. The Streakfly 2 is purpose-built to deliver raw speed and ultra-responsive cushioning for shorter distances, touting an aggressive new shape, an incredibly lightweight construction, and a full-length fly plate. The Streakfly 2 is built on the last of a track spike, giving the silhouette a decidedly aggressive stance with a 4mm heel-to-toe offset, allowing athletes to more easily run on their forefoot. The full-length fly plate is a first in the Streakfly line and similar to that of the Vaporfly 4, providing unmatched propulsion that helps runners push boundaries and shatter their personal bests. Let's review the shoe and see if what Nike says is true. I love the upper on the original Streakfly. It's my all-time favorite. These are nearly as good. There's a nice wide opening. The pull through the slots is really nice. The tongue on the Streakfly 2 is really thin. It's super. It's really thin, but it curls over on itself and sort of lays on your forefoot, and that can make it a little bit tricky putting it on, but no big deal. I'll stick the light in. You get an idea of there's minimal structure. You'll see the ventilated upper, and then you'll see there's a little bit of structure at the back, but ultimately it's a lightweight shoe with lightweight structure. The midsole is ZoomX, but not a huge amount of it. There's a full-length carbon plate. Nike call it the fly plate, and it's similar to the Vaporfly 4. There's also a big, long slot, and in the unlikely event you're running on gravel, yeah, it'll catch stones. Nike have minimized the outsole. There's a piece here, and then the outsole at the front, which is surprisingly grippy, has a cutout, again, for more ZoomX and to save weight. The Streakfly 2 is the lightest shoe I've ever tested, and by some margin. In this size, 160 grams, 5.64 ounces. It's 23% lighter than my Vaporfly 4s, and it's a third of the weight of my Infinity Run 4 Gore-Tex. I mentioned there's less foam. There is 27mm of stack with a 4mm drop. There's less cushioning in the forefoot on the Vaporfly 4. There's 23mm in the forefoot of the Streakfly 2 and 29mm in the forefoot of the Vaporfly 4. And that could come into play on a longer run with fatigue. I love the design of this shoe and particularly the aesthetics in this color. Nike say the shoe is structured around the same last as one of their track spike shoes. And if you look at the shoe, particularly in this colorway, you can see a sort of line down here, but actually the foam curves further up. There's a sort of optical illusion. You see it better there's a white version that they sell in the United States. I'll show a picture of that in a second, and you can see it more clearly, but it curves up much more than the sort of painting makes it look like. The rocker is quite pronounced. There was only one color available at launch. Nike call it Proto in the sale, a total orange and white black. These are Ghost, Persian Violet Blue, Lightning Blue Void. There's an oddly similar but not the same color in the Vaporfly 4s. They're also available in bright crimson, hyper orange, gridiron and lime blast. And on the US site, white, obsidian mist, pure platinum and gridiron. And although the Streakfly won't sell as much as the Alphafly or Vaporfly, there will be other color variations to come along. Nike don't make any particular claims of sustainability with this shoe, but at least it comes in a much smaller box than the Vaporfly 4. So yeah, chapeau there, Nike. The shoe is really easy to get on. Not as easy as the previous version, but I like the nice wide opening and the pull through, and the fabrics around are soft. I mentioned the tricky tongue to get right, but yeah, fairly easy to put on and certainly fit me very nicely. The Streakfly reminds me of an old school racing flat, just with a modern ZoomX foam base. These are quite different. They're similar to the Streakfly at the rear. They feel similar, but at the forefront, all that similarity ends. You can feel the push of the carbon plate. And when you try to push off in the Streakfly, the original, there's not as much push off as there is in this. You can feel the carbon plate and you notice the pronounced rocker shape. These are surprisingly grippy in the forefoot. This material is surprisingly grippy. I wouldn't be using these in the wet, but for a racing shoe, yeah, I was pleasantly surprised. The Streakfly 2 costs €179.99, €169.99 for the proto version, £164.99 sterling, 180 US dollars, and 250 Australian dollars. I had no idea why Nike launched the proto version at €10 cheaper here than the regular version. The shoe is significantly more expensive than the Streakfly, but it is a significantly different shoe. It's €70 cheaper than the Vaporfly 4, and that might factor into your decision of which one to get. The shoe is made in Vietnam and could be affected by the forthcoming tariffs in the United States. The durability of these shoes will be limited. I typically try to get 200 kilometers out of a marathon shoe to keep them in peak condition. After that, they tail off. But these, I did a little bit of walking in these too before I was filming them this morning, and they got a bit of gravel and they get beat up pretty quickly. This is the kind of shoe that I would typically put in a bag and get to where I was running and then take them out. Most other shoes, Vaporfly 4s, all these, I'll finish my run and then walk a kilometer home. These, I'd be pretty much taking on, running, taking off. The shoe is a racing shoe. The question for me is, how far can I run in it before I get beaten up, and how fast is it? Would the Vaporfly 4 be quicker over 5K or even 1K, and maybe even the Alphafly 3? And again, I'll be in lots of tests to try and separate all those questions out and come up with some answers. Should you buy the Nike Streakfly 2? These are not an all-round racing shoe that the Vaporfly 4 is, and unless you're forefoot striking, these will be of little benefit. For me, forefoot striking is only something I can do over the shorter racing distances, but that's what Nike designed them for. I hope you enjoyed the video and found it useful. If you did, it would be great if you'd hit the like button. As always, there'll be lots of stuff in the description below, and I'll happily answer any questions you put into the comments. There'll be a big blue subscribe button popping up there, and some new videos there. Thanks for watching. Until the next video, just keep running along.